Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture, and today we're finally going to be talking about the debut album from Megan Thee Stallion called Fever. So I'll admit I was a little bit surprised. I was even considering making this review. It's not like there aren't other albums that I could cover on my schedule, so why go for this? Why review a project for which you're fairly certain you won't have much to say, and if you do, it might be better suited for the trailing edge? And then I immediately questioned why I thought of any of that. Yeah, Megan Thee Stallion, she might have gotten her initial traction off of Instagram twerk videos and being hotter than all hell, but she could spit her ass off better than a fair few of her male counterparts. Her mixtapes had some genuine sizzle over pretty solid trap and Houston-inspired production, again, better than a lot of her competition, and it wasn't like Cardi B hadn't surprised me with the longevity and flair of some cuts off of her debut album. I mean, I might be the only one who still thinks that Moneybag is a great song, but if Cardi B is settling into more of an opulent comfort zone, I still want to find someone where the hunger and fire was still lit. I mean, sure, the content likely wasn't about to be all that deep beyond flexing, sex jams, and taking guys for all they're worth, but Megan Thee Stallion's meteoric rise did prove there is an audience for that sort of material, and my general liking for Big Ole Freak proved that she had the charisma and the command of her mix in order to pull it off. So I figured, why not give that debut album a listen and ignore the mess of a new DJ Khaled project? So what do we get from Fever? Well, you know what? I'm gonna lay all my cards on the table here. After a fair few listens to Fever, I just still don't have a lot to say about the album. I mean, it's fine enough, and I still think it does accomplish what it's setting out to do with aplomb, but it absolutely lacks a lot of dimensionality, and at least to me, fails considerably short of the potential that I have seen from Megan Thee Stallion over the past couple of months. And as much as I would be tempted to put this on the trailing edge on that basis alone, the more I dug into some of the background details surrounding this project's release and rollout and promotion, the more I'm thinking that there are some things that should probably be exposed about this project and its backing label behind the scenes that deserve more scrutiny going forward. So this review is probably going to wind up going in a slightly different direction. But you want the long and short of it? It's good. It'll have its audience, but it's not great. But you know what, let's get the review of this out of the way proper, and start off by talking about what immediately works on this album. And most of that begins and ends with Megan Thee Stallion herself. She's a commanding presence behind the microphone, with a security and a poise that doesn't feel as cartoonish as, say, Cardi B or Cupcake or even Nicki Minaj, but also commands a lot more dignity and respect than the City Girls or acts like Cash Doll or Dreezy do, especially off of Dreezy's last album. Hell, I would argue that ease, that natural charisma, it is by far her strongest asset. So much so that the rock-solid flows, they almost come in as a bonus, which she handles with such grace that most people probably don't notice how she flubs more rhymes than she probably should, like on the third verse of Pimpin', or how she really isn't saying that much of deeper substance or dimensionality, or even really showing off a lot of creative wordplay. And while that means that she can hold her own with W.A.B and Juicy J, who are also not really expected to deliver much in the way of content, it absolutely makes many of these songs feel kind of interchangeable lyrically when it comes to references and ideas. I mean, Megan Thee Stallion gets money hand over fist, the guys will trick for her, she's absolutely more than any man can handle long term, especially when she dances up on them because she's got a great ass, and she's doing it for herself. So any weak dudes or fake bitches around her better watch the fuck out. And beyond that, look, I'm a guy who appreciates subtlety and lyrical depth, and not only is that not here, it probably was never even in the cards to begin with. And you know what? That's fine. Albums like this, they don't have to be all that deep or clever, provided the production works. And yet, if I were to highlight a pretty glaring weakness of this album, it might just come there. Yeah, the Houston and especially 3 6 Mafia influence is obvious, and you don't technically need much in the way of complexity for these sorts of bangers, and even songs that try for more melody, like for Megan, like Best You Ever Had and Bring Drank, they're plainly not her specialty when she tries to sing on them. But you know what, the lack of stronger melodic tunes behind her, backing up the meaty beats and the trap snares, means that a lot of these songs just start to run together. I mean, there's barely any tune behind Pimpin' or Cash Shit or Shake That or Sex Talk beyond the bass and some sparse percussion. And even the songs that do have more melody feel like they could use some more layers and development. Take a song like Simon Says that grabs a snippet of Billy Paul's Me and Mrs. Jones to open up the song. But can you imagine how commanding Megan Thee Stallion would sound over a really good soul flip? She doesn't need to rely on the bare minimum. So when you have more developed melodies like the blaring synth on Running up Freestyle to close up the album, the stuttered beat and the scratch on Dance, and the deeper bombast behind Money Good and Reeler, I can hear more of that potential, even just in this very narrow lane. And you know what, here's the thing. If this was just a mixtape or an EP to serve up something fast before the album drops proper, that'd be one thing. But this is her full-length debut album, marked as her big commercial breakthrough. Like it or not, there isn't really an immediate pop crossover song here in the same way there was for Cardi B on Invasion of Privacy, which might only be good instead of great because of its rush release and the underwhelming production, but that album did have something for everyone. Now granted, Cardi was riding a wave of hype off of multiple hit singles that Megan Thee Stallion just doesn't have at the moment, and maybe for her label 300 that they think the best way to leverage her limited success and talent right now is just to ride the streaming playlist off an album of twerk anthems. And you know what? There's probably some good thought in that. But for an artist with the raw talent and presence that she has, you can't help but feel that this could be a very narrow lane to walk, especially on a debut, which at their best you show off your versatility, your greatest strengths. And no, there's nothing wrong with being the next Gangsta Boo, but Megan Thee Stallion's got the wordplay and flair and presence to appeal to as large of an audience as Cardi B. So why was that not considered in some of the rollout of this album? Well, I don't know. The first hypothesis is that while they were rushing this like Big Ole Freak is still charting, even as an older song that doesn't have an obvious follow-up, I can see that, and this was just simply the easy songs for her to make quickly. But my second hypothesis actually goes deeper, and it gets a little bit uglier. Namely that since the departure of Leor Cohen in 2016, the label 300 Entertainment has seriously struggled to launch any upcoming trap artists with the expected degree of traction in their earlier successes. Yeah, Migos, they put out Culture in 2017, after the album was delayed, and the trio thought tooth and nail to get away from 300, citing a very ugly legal battle that Rich the Kid would later echo a year later. Yeah, they've got Young Thug's YSL Records as a subsidiary, but outside of streaming traction, the music's been disposable at best, and Thugger certainly hasn't taken off the way he should have after Jeffrey. I mean, Beautiful Thugger Girls was a thing, but it wasn't the crossover smash. And yes, he got released from T Grizzly and Famous Dex, but neither really moved the needle significantly, and in neither case I've seen much in the way of artistic development, which is still extremely valuable when you have promising fresh talents like Megan Thee Stallion. Now, you know what? I could be wrong here, and the current heads of 300 could realize the major talent they have with Megan Thee Stallion and give her the money, the promotion, and the creative flexibility that she deserves. But I'm looking at the trends here. Going back to Fetty Wap's debut in 2015, the label has built a reputation off of albums lacking dimensionality, especially when the artist could well have more talent, and that absolutely worries me here. Because yeah, Fever does mostly succeed in what it set out to do, but it's hard to avoid how it might just be coasting off of some low expectations when I see a ton of potential here, and as a debut album, it's kinda underwhelming in its lack of dimensionality. She could have done more. Now granted, I'd rather hear some of the subject matter coming out of Megan than most, but let's get real. There are acts in her lane like Cupcake who can rap just as well, but bring more color and variety in the production and the content, so I gotta call it like I see it. And as such, for me, it's a strong 6 out of 10, as it does still succeed in what it's trying to do, and I can see this really going off in the right setting. Like, there's a lot of good strip club songs on this album, but outside of that, I don't know. Like most Fevers, it's a head rush. I want to hear what actually stands up after things start to cool down. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. I know a lot of you are probably going to get real angry about this, but look, I want to love this. I want to go and really hype this up, but at the same time, the lyrical dimensionality's not there. And really, I want to like this in terms of hooks, in terms of just shake your ass ability. But again, there's not a lot of melody there. A lot of these songs really run together, and that's a bit of a problem. But hey, you want to buy or stream it, links down in the description below. And I got the poll up there for y'all. Tell me how wrong I am. Looking forward to it. Beyond that, anything else I might be able to do to improve my presentation, I'm all ears. And just a friendly reminder, if you're looking for new episodes of Billboard Breakdown, they are currently on my new channel. Links in the card right over there. But till then, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.